open the scripture first. The audience, Shen Yi Yanping III. Last time, we talked about the unending three jewels. Let's continue to look at this scripture. Indeed, there are sentient beings. The mind's damage often leads to insights about life or past. Difficulties. From the mind comes lust, whether it be killing or harming. Such beings are regarded as being in the hell of incessant suffering for countless eons, seeking a place with no end. This is the creation of extremely serious sinful deeds. The third type. This is something we must remember. The first is being unfilial to parents. The second is not revering the three jewels. The third is the mind's constant presence. This erosion and invasion. Damage, loss, constant presence. This borrowing of sin is quite serious, so this belongs to stealing a ring. This is something everyone should know. So, generally speaking, once you see these things clearly, I also think this is a small matter, insignificant. I didn't realize I had committed a serious mistake. This is something the Buddha clearly explains in the scriptures. We definitely need to have faith. Go and experience it. There are 4 types of constant presence. So, constant presence. Constant presence, this is direct. This temple is well established. In the temple, these are the immovable properties. The land. The confiscation of houses. This is referred to as constant presence. Constant presence. So it can only be used. It's decided you can't change the sale. If you change or sell it, the sin becomes concentrated. The second type is called the 10 directions constant presence. The constant presence of the 10 kings. It's what people often refer to as the 4 offerings. Food and other necessities depend on medicine. This is the offering from the faithful of the 10 directions for the monastics. Monastics. It's not about designating a specific person. All the monastics in this temple share in it. In China, you're taking something that doesn't belong to you. This is theft. The third type is the present moment. So, this is it. Ham got it. The faithful, they give alms. This alms giving, the scope is relatively small. It's just that the monastics present here are not like the ones mentioned earlier, from the 10 directions, where all monastics share equally. In ancient times, monastics had no home and could hang their robes at any temple. All of them can benefit from it. They should accept it, because this offering is for the 10 directions. So all monastics have their distinctions. So what's the 4th type? It's called the 10 directions formed. The nature of things, take this. Monastic, for example. Vasen. The items left behind after one's passing are called the 10 directions trap. This is the stuff left behind by cash, and it can be harmful. So this borrowing of sin comes from this place. If you steal, you owe a debt. Understand this principle. No one benefits. Everyone here needs to understand. You really have to grasp this principle and see the truth of the matter. In this world, it's absolutely not true that someone has gained an advantage. That statement isn't true. If someone suffers a loss or is taken advantage of, that's not how it works. Taking from others means repaying in the next life. This is cause and effect. Our wealth will be taken in the next life. Cause and effect. Taking means losing wealth. Encroaching means others will do the same. Taking from others means our wealth will be taken. Encroaching on others means others will encroach on us. For Buddha, kindness, resentment, settling debts, repaying debts. If we encroach on others, in the future, others will encroach on us. So what are the 4 kinds of relationships between people that Buddha talked about? It's something that goes on forever, generation after generation, just dealing with this matter. Why are we here? It's all about settling debts and repaying them, like paying for a room or subscription. So now I understand this principle. Do we need to repay a karma? Let's just forget it. Let's wipe the slate clean. We should repay what we owe to others and let go of what others owe us. Let's settle this account in this life and be done with it. Only by doing this can you chant the Buddha's name and be reborn in the Pure Land. If you keep debts of gratitude and resentment in your heart, even the Buddha can't save you. Death isn't the end. These matters persist. For us, handling one person's situation is easy. You know, in this world, death is never the end. These things just go on and on. So, dealing with someone else's situation is pretty straightforward. If that's the case. This is about the local government. In this city, if you start stealing public facilities, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. Why is that? You need to understand that public facilities are funded by taxpayers. This place uses the taxes collected from the people to fund its development. If you're going to steal from the creditors, then everyone in this city is your creditor. How long are you going to keep repaying one by one until it's all settled? So it's really important to understand that public facilities must never be stolen. That's really serious. If these facilities aren't provided by the government, then the trouble gets even bigger. In the future, everyone in the country will be your creditor. So now, there are many people who don't understand the severity of this sin. Casually damaging public facilities is a really serious crime, way too serious. This is about committing a sin against an individual. Right. So, the 4 types of glucosamine are called the 3 treasures. This sin is even heavier than a crime against a nation's finances. Why is that? It's because it affects the entire community and transforms the void into the realm of law. All monks share in this. So when it comes to your sins, you need to seek forgiveness from the still void that transforms the realm of law. This is a big problem. Regarding the 3 treasures, every small thing, like a needle or grass, might seem unreasonable. But what does it mean to have true principles? The true owner is the still void transforming the realm of law, including all monks. You borrowing sins from them. Why is there such a heavy sin? So when you think about who the true owner is, it becomes clear that the owner is the still void. That transforms the realm of law, which includes all monks. You're borrowing sins from them. The scope is really quite broad. It's not just limited to theft, you know. So in the Buddhist scriptures, this is explained as not to take what is not given. The person in charge has to weigh things up and measure them carefully. Should I give you what you are asking for? If it's something you should get and he doesn't give it to you, he asterisk. Then he's also breaking the precept against stealing. If he deliberately makes it difficult for you and doesn't give you what you shouldn't have, then if he does give it to you, he's also breaking the rules. So it's quite difficult, you know, managing the assets of the three treasures. If you're not careful, you can end up facing some serious consequences. We really need to understand this principle. If we say we're wasting 350, it's also this IOU. We borrow 1 cent from the 3 jewels, or we borrow $1 from the divine. It's you who creates your own blessings, and the blessings you create are immense. Why is that? Because it's for the protection of all monastics. To repair in front of them. In other words, if you waste and cause loss, your sin becomes heavier. Today, fewer people understand this principle, discuss precepts, face criticism. Even the ordained don't talk about it. Just look at the monks giving teachings now. Who talks about the precepts? After talking about the precepts, people criticize you. You explain that you always criticize us. Who wants to listen to someone getting told off? You talk about the precepts and there's not a single listener. But that's speaking the truth. Jambudvipa beings, Kshatigarbha Bodhisattva, thoughts and intentions aren't sins, exaggeration. Every thought creates karma. Can we be reborn by chanting Buddha's name? Every thought is creating karma. It's not easy to be reborn by chanting the Buddha's name, is it? This is something we definitely need to know. We need to be vigilant. We need to understand the seriousness of this ancient karmic retribution. Now, what about this next part? The forest of rest. Violating sexual misconduct. For monks, leaving home is hard, and harder for lay women. People in the world are so ignorant, no evil arises from you. All within the monastery. What's down here? Are these people ordained? Even couples. Join the ceremonies at the temple, yeah. It's about having a long-term practice, you know. For example, the Waterfall Buddha Temple or the Liang Huang Kang Buddha Temple. They usually go for over 7 days. The time for transmitting the precepts is even longer. There are a lot of lay practitioners. During this time, participating in the ceremonies and staying at the temple. Even if they are a married couple, having sexual conduct in the temple is still considered a sin. If unmarried, then the sin is even greater. That's sexual misconduct, right? Everyone needs to understand that this is all about the sins that lead to the Avachi hell. How would people these days even know? Is the karmic retribution really that serious? killing or harming is serious. If they kill to cover it up, the sin worsens. Such criminals are destined for Avicii hell. After that, if they go and kill someone to silence them, that sin becomes even heavier. So those who commit these kinds of sins are destined for the Avicii hell for countless eons, seeking to escape with no end in sight. Let's look at the fourth paragraph. If there are sentient beings who only become monks and are excited about the monk's role, they will always be in the seven madness and be proud of violating the precepts. All kinds of creations are like this and are regarded as the endless hell. 10,000 precepts are required to be free from the ruthlessness for 10 consecutive years. This is the plot. A shaman is a person who practices spiritual cultivation and engages in various rituals and ceremonies. This does not mean that monks and nuns, who are often seen as religious figures, are more superior than shamans. Both shamans and lay Buddhists who follow the teachings of Buddhism without monastic vows can be called shamans. These two words, shaman and Buddhist, are ordinary words that have been translated into English from their original languages, capturing the essence of their meanings. Those who practice precepts, concentration, and wisdom, eliminating greed, hatred, and ignorance, are shramanas. All religious practitioners can be shramanas if they study and practice goodness. Shramana became a term for monastics in Chinese Buddhism, but it applies to lay practitioners too. All religious followers of various faiths are not necessarily Buddhists. As long as they earnestly and sincerely learn to give up worldly and material possessions and sincerely cultivate goodness and virtues, they will usually become Ramas. After Buddhism was introduced to China, what about these Ramas? In Chinese Buddhism, Shramana is a term for monastics and lay practitioners. Some fake being shramanas. Deceivers are con artists. Master Xinian labels them broken precept madmen. Offerings are for the true. True practice earns merit. Those who focus on practice to deceive others are con artists, called broken precept madmen. Offerings are for genuine practitioners. Genuine practitioners gain blessings from offerings, being reborn as humans with heavenly blessings. But if you're pretending, you let them down and incur a debt. It discusses wrongdoings. Offerings are for true practitioners, bringing merit. Offerings bring blessings. Practicing well leads to rebirth as a human with blessings. Pretending incurs debt. Buddhism values donors. Even a grain of rice holds merit. Misusing symbols incurs debt. Genuine practice leads to rebirth in the Pure Land and greater blessings. Offerings to practitioners, if practiced well, ensure a human body and heavenly blessings in the next life. Failing incurs a debt. In Buddhism, even a grain of rice is significant. Genuine practice leads to greater blessings in the Pure Land. Monastics find this rice hard to eat, worse than beggars. This is what Buddhism refers to when it talks about donors. Even a grain of rice is as significant as a mountain of merit. If you don't truly understand the teachings and just wear the robes and drink wine, you'll have to repay that debt. However, if in this life you genuinely practice and are reborn in the Pure Land to become a Buddha, then the blessings you receive will be even greater. This affluent landowner, well, he's truly disgraceful indeed. For monastics, this bowl of rice is, as you might imagine, hard to swallow. It's even worse than what a beggar actually gets. I often remind my students that it's tougher than what a beggar has to endure. A beggar doesn't think about getting caught in a trap or about repaying anyone, so the rice they get is actually quite decent, as it turns out. But for those who accept these offerings, it's not as tasty. If you don't truly understand the teachings and just wear the robes and drink wine, you'll have to repay that debt. In this world, there are many professions. Why do you choose to ordain? Choosing to ordain, to be honest, it's not like you can just pick the Pure Land and avoid the Hell Realms. Why would you want to take on such a tough path? We must be highly vigilant. It's not a laughing matter. It's very serious, you know. We can see that today, those who ordain often have little knowledge of the scriptures. Your truth understands this fact. Not many people do. People think the ordination is a great way to make money, right? You get taxed again. You needn't work too hard at it. No matter what industry you work in, you have to work hard to learn and acquire skills. Learning takes 3 months. Then you're ready to earn, speak well, share teachings, and earning is easy. If you are good at speaking, it will be easy for me to make money. In just a few years, you could be earning a lot. Be aware of the consequences. You'll face a long repayment. Or you should know that the national newspaper later suffered the punishment in Aberdeen ABI hell. You'll have a long, long time to pay off your debts. Yeah. You definitely can't say that you owe a debt and don't pay it back. That just doesn't make sense. In Copper City, England, we need to be aware of this. So this kind of behavior disrupts the permanence of the community. The madman in white, this white-clad person is deceiving those at home, you know. It goes against the teachings of the Buddha. All sorts of things. This creation is driven by greed, anger, ignorance, and arrogance. The creation of countless and boundless sins. This is the fourth type of the Avicii hell, where the beings are those who are very greedy. The fourth type of people in the industry, stealing from the community. This is about using honesty to truly follow the path. The upper part of the shoe, it can wear out easily, and it can be quite serious. If there are sentient beings stealing from the community's possessions, whether it's food, clothing, or even a single item, is a serious offense. The half degree of the Avicii hell. Countless eons, seeking release without end. This defender's annual report. It's the retribution he deserves. The host mentioned 4 types of strengths earlier, whether it's the heart of the Tao or the heart of theft, right? stealing, or it's you yourself. You steal to enjoy it yourself, or you might steal for your family and relatives to enjoy. East commits this crime. This is very, very important. Sutra on Buddha contemplation. To the house of the three jewels, yeah. He's Sen. More than that. Killing 84,000 parents. Killing one's parents is already a sin that causes the hell of Amitabha. Stealing from the three jewels is a grave sin, worse. That sin is even heavier than the sin of killing one's parents. It's so severe that we can't even imagine, as the Buddha illustrates in the scriptures with this analogy. The sin of killing 84,000 parents is still surpassed. Bodhisattva Huaju mentioned in the scriptures. He is rebellious. 5. I can do it. I can't save those who give rise to life. The Emperor Bodhisattva is an equal enlightenment Bodhisattva. The Guanyin Master and Ksarigarbha Bodhisattva are equal. What they said is the truth. It's not just talk. Now, this place is the layperson's Dharma assembly. The layperson's Dharma assembly, where the true teachings flourish. His karma. It's about being with. This glucosamine is the same on all sides. Yeah, this is something we all need to understand clearly. We have needs, you know. It can be offered continuously. Explanation. Continuous offerings. That's right. Definitely not. It's hard to get the length right. You have to cut it yourself. That's wrong. The easiest mistake to make. This permanent residence, the paper. Like we usually talk about, we just grab old envelope and letterhead to write personal letters. It's a small thing. How would someone who doesn't study Buddhism know? You know, whether you're working in a government agency or in a private company, it's all pretty much the same. Public property like these things, people just take them for their own use, you know.